Salud.
Hey, hi Eric. Na zdrave.
Na zdrave. Is it na zdravie or na zdrave?
Na zdrave.
Na zdrave, to the monkey bar.
Cheers. So, what could be a better place for the first episode of The O and the Otter than the Monkey Bar?
Absolutely.
We're on the rooftop in Berlin and we thought about a topic that is quite interesting. What do you think about one of the most important processes a hotelier has to offer, the check-in? So that's the first thing that makes the impression of their guests. So how do you feel about this?
Well, I've got two different perspectives on this. Number one, when I travel, I have colleagues who don't want to see anybody or a human at front desk. They want to arrive at the hotel, find a kiosk, get the key, get to their room. That's their objective. I have the opposite objective. I actually want to speak to a human and see what's happening in the hotel, what's their recommendation for nearby, what's the vibe for the hotel. I can tell a lot from the check-in experience. So I personally like a human check-in experience.
Yes.
I don't want a kiosk check-in experience because it's the same thing as the airline. At the airport, if I use a kiosk, you know what my chances are of an upgrade? 0. If I check in with a human, I actually get 50-50 success on not an upgrade, but I get the exit row and extra leg room. Honestly, 50% of the time. So I personally want a human to check me in. Now, in terms of kiosks and self-service, I think it's a very valid place for the busy executive who doesn't want to speak to a human. I'm just not that person.
Yeah, of course. And I actually believe we shouldn't put this kind of firm frontiers. You do self-check-in or you don't do self-check-in. There is no right thing actually. It's not our choice as hoteliers. It's actually guest choice, I believe. And
Exactly. And I also think, as you said, it's the guest choice. So some guests can go to the front desk and some guests can go to the kiosk. No problem. But to only push them one way or the other way, I think is missing the element of hospitality.
It's missing actually, and again, I believe that hospitality is the industry of comfort and choice. So we should give guests that choice and that comfort which they prefer. For some, they call them the silent travelers. They would not want to talk to a person. For others, like you, would like to speak to a person, feel the place, feel the experience. We shouldn't limit it. So it's not like white and black, like our shirts here.
Yes.
It's like giving
the
them
zebra,
the choice. Yeah.
like the zebra in the jungle. It's not black or white. There are shades of grey.
Yeah. It's both actually. So,
Yeah.
so from that perspective, actually, you know what? I would think that in many cases, hoteliers will disagree with the fact that it's unlikely that an upsell happens through a self-check-in, simply because they are used to the fact that they're telling their staff to do upselling, but frequently they are not actually. They are shy or not feeling comfortable upselling. So upselling could be done in a different way, by talking to a human or by sending a discreet message directly to the customer. But speaking of check-in, actually, you know what bothers me a little here?
Tell me.
So that should be the first experience which you have, or the first impression that this hotel makes for you. And then is it relevant that usually the first question that you're getting is, hello sir, what's your name? Okay, so far so good. And then the next one is, may I have your credit card and your passport?
I know so many. I mean, you and I both travel a lot. I can repeat the most common check-in process, which is name, credit card, here's your room key. Breakfast is from 7 o'clock in the morning. There's the elevator. Next.
Yeah, it's like one of those production lines, isn't it?
Exactly.
So recently in a trip in, I think it was in Hamburg, I felt like absolutely irrelevant in a situation in which there were two people, actually there were 2 rows, 2 people at each, that was waiting for this kind of experience, to be asked to give my credit card and my passport.
Yes.
Why is that? Actually, couldn't it be different? I still think that it's good to talk to people.
Yes.
A chat with the receptionist is good, but is it on that topic that they should be speaking with?
You know, I think something. Okay, look, the hotel industry is huge, and there are different types of hotels. There are some hotels that are like a factory. You get what you pay for. Don't expect service. However, my feeling is that every hotel should offer at least some level of hospitality.
Oh, absolutely.
Now, there's an art to upselling. There's an art to reading the guest and anticipating their needs. The art of hospitality, really, the way I learned it, is to anticipate the guest's needs before they ask for it. So, for example, guest comes to the reception to check in, and I know that this guest should have arrived 3 hours earlier. They look a bit stressed. Maybe they missed their connection. So you look like you've had a busy day. Let me get your check-in done for you right away. Just to acknowledge that and start to read the guest. Now, if the guest gives you those cues like, you won't believe what sort of a day I had. Okay, now, there's an opportunity to create some magic. When I say magic, I mean, look, let's get the check-in process underway. But while you're doing that, can I get you a beer? Or would you like a coffee or tea? And then either go and make that if you have one of those reception desks that are integrated with the bar experience, or page somebody and let the guests feel welcome. Imagine you're welcoming someone to your home and they look tired. Are you going to say, what are your bags, or where are your credit cards? You're not going to ask about process.
Exactly.
Make them feel welcome.
Absolutely. It doesn't make me feel welcome if I have to give away my credit card. On the other hand, I understand it's very important for hoteliers because they need to assure that they'll get their payment, that they'll get their guarantee against some damage in the room. So, of course, it's understandable. But wouldn't you agree that technology can come at rescue here and help hoteliers by actually... Look at the airlines. It's a sister industry. So how frequently you go to provide to do the check-in? I mean the formal check-in. Mm-hmm. I'm not speaking about the small chat that perhaps you do with the person at the desk. We could actually make it different. We can actually take the credit. Actually, we have it in most of the cases. We have the credit card of that guest. Yeah. How simple could it be that we make it possible that we use this credit card as a guarantee if that guest doesn't want to change it? Yes. Or what if we just ask that guest to check in advance to provide the formal stuff in a bit, let's say, in his private area, because he can do it on his mobile phone while he's in the taxi or even at home.
Yes, absolutely.
And then why not give that guest the possibility to tell you what he wants to get from you, or perhaps what time he wants to arrive, or what his special requests are.
Yes.
And then when you know this, you'll easily notice that, okay, he was supposed to come at 5 and he's coming at 8, so perhaps something went wrong. So why not have a nice chat? Why not use the technology to help us with the magic?
Absolutely. And I think, look, we all have data. Almost no matter what system you're using, you know roughly what time the guest is arriving. Who's monitoring that? Or what systems are in place to trigger alerts? A simple alert, guest arrival more than 3 hours. So at least be alert, okay, reception desk, operations, guest is arriving later than expected. Maybe just check to see if everything was okay. To be service oriented, to have a service first culture, I think is missing in a lot of places, but technology can actually help.
That's true. Actually, I can borrow from our experience with our own product. So we did a very simple thing. I think we came across it literally accidentally. It's called I'm Nearby. So actually through that technology, you can tell the hotel that you are, let's say we are in Berlin, so let's use an example. You can tell the system I'm at Tegel Airport. So you know that instead of just making the rooms one by one in a row, you can actually, if you have already allocated that room for that guest, you can actually prepare that room in advance so that he doesn't wait.
Nice.
So okay, do you need to charge for an early check-in even in this case if it comes handed that you already have the room? It's up to you. You can charge an extra check-in, an early check-in, or you can just have a guest who's very happy because you're exceeding their expectation. And here is one of the challenges I believe today's technology needs to help hoteliers with. Actually, you know that basic principle, you never have a second chance for a first impression, and the check-in is the first impression actually. So
exactly.
Instead of spending your time with formalities like credit cards, taking guarantees, wasting time on even authorizing them, which is wasting time after all.
Yes.
You could have done that in advance with the smarter technology perhaps.
Absolutely. In fact, when you talk about that whole guest check-in experience, I think there's a lot of missed opportunity there.
Absolutely, I fully agree. So perhaps this is one of the topics which our friends hoteliers should look at. This one of their first priorities.
And in terms of the actual check-in itself, when the guest is choosing to be more mobile or more, let's say, kiosk-oriented, let them check in from their phone.
Oh yeah.
Let them bypass the desk. If they've got credit card details there, and it shouldn't really matter if they book through Booking.com.
Absolutely.
Because Booking.com are taking the CVV number, and that should be available for the hotel to process without interrupting the guest. Because how many times do they ask you for your credit card at the airport? Never.
Never.
You've
yes.
prepaid it. However, passports are obviously unnecessary. But I think just using that simple example of how many times have you ever had an upgrade through a kiosk? Zero. But there are technologies out there, there are also consulting services out there that help help hotel staff know how to upsell guests, either through a pre-stay message or through actually a training technique or a sales technique at the front desk. There are many different ways to doing it.
Well, let's say that things are, even here, I think they're very individual. There are people who actually buy upsells through this kind of kiosk. We see it from our own, let's say, tracking codes.
Okay.
It's like
so people are taking it.
Teenagers, you know, I'm calling my son for dinner with a text message from the other room. So you can understand that this kind of digital native citizens who would do that.
Are you familiar with kiosks that are offering upsell? I haven't seen them so far.
Oh, yeah, I am familiar. Actually, this is look. The good point here is the context, because the context is the king. It's always like that. So once you know that the interaction takes place in the pocket of your guest, meaning on his mobile, you know something. Once you know that it's taking place at the kiosk, you know something. It's in the lobby,
yes.
And then perhaps actually is the right place to offer them promotion for a drink, or to tell them something like, okay, we know we have 5 available rooms for tonight which are unlikely to be sold. Why not promote it like, okay, just for €10 you're getting this upgrade, and then doesn't it sound attractive? Just for €10 you're getting superior,
yes,
which is totally different from buying it at once.
And that's a kiosk, yeah? Question for you.
Could be a kiosk, could be anything.
Yeah.
Smart technology.
Question for you. How many times have you been offered an upgrade or upsell at front desk by a human in your life?
To be sincere, it could be 2 times or 3 times, which I remember. It's a very rare occasion.
Me never, and I'm traveling a lot.
I still remember a very nice hotel in Copenhagen. We traveled with my wife for a vacation, so actually that was the first time. But you know what? Now when I think twice, it wasn't an upgrade. They actually gave us a free upgrade, perhaps because it was the low season and they wanted a satisfied guest.
That's nice.
So actually
yes.
I didn't have to pay for that, but it made me feel happy.
You know, that's the key thing. It made you feel happy. You've remembered this just now, and you probably will think fondly of this. If somebody mentions Copenhagen to you, you'll probably say,
oh, absolutely. First impression about Copenhagen. That's it.
Exactly. Now, the other thing about making guests happy, I've noticed so many hotels these days that stick to the check-in is 3 p.m.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, but is the room clean? Check-in is 3 p.m. Even without checking if the room is clean, they're saying, now, if the room is clean, let me check in. It'll make me happy.
Yes.
But they're sticking to it in a way that I understand it's process-driven, it's probably how they've been trained.
Yeah,
but make the guest happy.
But on the other hand, think of this. How do you measure a 5-star review on TripAdvisor? How do you measure a happy guest who actually tells another 10 or 100 with TripAdvisor, perhaps million of guests about their experience? So I think that's an experience to optimize, and now I think there are very smart technologies on the market which are emerging and getting smarter and smarter, and this could facilitate the process. So what would you advise hoteliers?
I think hoteliers should be open and alert to what solutions are out there, either training solutions for staff or technology solutions.
Absolutely.
Both, right? But I also feel as though that hoteliers need to understand what is their brand value, what is their brand promise. Are they just here to fill the hotel at the maximum occupancy at the highest rate, which is the business objective, or are they here to create a really amazing guest experience? Because if they do that, the rest will take care of itself.
Yes, that's true. It will click. It will simply click.
Yeah.
So automation helps this. Yes, today you can do it that you store the credit card. Once you get the booking, you don't need to ask for it anymore and not violate any security standard. You can try to upsell, you can try to prepare the check-in, but the most important thing is to try to understand what your guests want.
Absolutely.
So, with or without automation, with or without digital check-in, online check-in or kiosk check-in or whatever we call it, your staff needs to be relevant to understand what to do at that moment. So,
cheers to better check-ins.
yes, and more efficient hotels.
Absolutely.
Cheers.
Cheers.